Hey, YouTube. We got failure. You know that fucking rack and pinion that I just put in 2,500 miles ago? Well, my daughter was driving the car and it was like fucking 20 degrees outside. And I get the call. I'm at work and my steering's tight. Well, this is the one I took out, okay? This is the stalker. The one that's in the car, back to the old drawing board, is leaking the rebuilt one from the upper pinion seal, okay? Now, I thought about rebuilding this one, my factory one. The problem was I got a non-variable effort, and I could not find all the rebuild parts. So I said, fuck it, we're getting a rebuild. And you get what you pay for. I bought the cheapest one on Rock Auto because I was hurting on money. And now it's leaking. I wanted to see how hard it would be to get the seal out, because it would sure be nice not to have to get a new rack of pinion and worry about alignment and all that kind of shit. So I used my C-clip pliers, took this C-clip off, and I need to get the seal out, right? You can see the movement. I tried to drill this screw straight in. It's hardened steel, okay? Stepped up to my cheap 20-year-old fucking DeWalt fucking bits. This shit. You've heard me talk bad about DeWalt. Didn't even budget, okay? Moved up to my, what are they again, Norco? Moved up to my premium bits, my high-speed steels, and it went right through, okay? I didn't even clean up the shit. I probably should before I take it off, but I don't give a fuck right now. But at any rate, I just wanted you to see. We'll try to do this with one hand. I can already probably work it out, or I can put some vice grips on here and hammer up. So let me put you on pause. Alrighty. I didn't have to put the vice grips on. I just basically got one good hand on there and kept doing like that. There's the seal, okay? Why am I showing you this? Because it looks like if you got a variable steering rack and pinion, you can get this seal. You can also pretty easily get the driver's side and the passenger side seals. Now, I could be wrong, but my guess is this seal is probably the same. So I'm highly debating if I want to rip the whole rack and pinion out, or if I want to just try to get this seal, because I think I can do it in the vehicle. I'm pretty sure I could take my little pneumatic air 90-degree angle drill my little hole in there, and then set that screw, and then get this out. So why this failed beats the fucking piss out of me. What I think, somebody didn't lubricate the inner part of the seal when they rebuilt it. It was Friday night. They were in a hurry. They're like, fuck that shit. Nobody will know who did it. I don't know. What I can tell you is, after I took the little C-clip off, which is pretty much easy, I used my pick tool, and I just kind of tried to see if I could maybe get in there and, do like that. As soon as I did that, I punctured it, and this old unit had just enough pressure that it started oozing out by the seal. And then, when I drilled that hole, quite a bit of power steering fluid came oozing out. And then when I got this up, it squirted. So there's still a little bit of pressure in there, even after you've drained it. And as you can see, I put the caps back on from the rebuild, but, there's still a little bit of pressure in there. So I just want to add this as a part 2 so that, you know, if your seals are leaking, this is pretty much the same thing. I don't know if it's the same size or not. I haven't had the billows off. This is what you'd find here and here. Mind you, mine's leaking here. So you may get lucky. On that top one, I mean, there may be just enough room by the time you drop the K-frame. Or at least you could take the whole rack and pinion out without fucking with the inner and outer tie rods and stressing your tie rod ends. But yeah, I really wish I could find that seal right now. But at least I'm kind of giving you an idea on it if you get into that situation. Then all you'd have to do is clean all this up really good, wipe it down, re-lubricate it with power steering fluid, lubricate the center of this really good, just like if you did a transmission seal or something. Slide it over there, and then either use a press cup, like from a ball joint kit, or this is small enough, you could probably use like a 3/4 inch drive socket, a deep dish socket, something that would clear this so you could pound it back down into place. But yeah, I'm a little bummed out, man. If I don't find that seal, then I'm replacing my rack and pinion under warranty. And now I'm kicking myself because I got it from Rock Auto. So not only do I have to put in a warranty request, then I got to rip it out. Then I got to ship it back to them. And then I got to wait for them to ship me the new one. And if I just spent a couple $100 more, I could go to fucking O'Reilly's and exchange it probably in one day. But you get what you pay for. But I needed that extra $200 and I gambled. You know, I got 290 something thousand out of my first one, and I thought maybe I'd get lucky and have no issues. But this bitch right here, I know it's because they didn't fucking lubricate the center. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. But I guess also as a note, make sure this is pressed in good, not angled or all fucked up before you put yours in. So I'll try to get it to where you can be linked to this video if you're following my how to do a rack and pinion on a 05 through 10 Grand Prix or whatever without a lift. It's a little more challenging. So I like my video on it. But at any rate, sorry to babble for 8 minutes here. I just wanted to show you that. Give you an idea. If I can find a rebuild kit, I am going to rebuild my old one. I shouldn't say well, it is rebuilt. If I remanufactured it, I would remachine the bores and shit and then put the seals in. But I'm not going to remanufacture it. I'm going to try to rebuild it and just do all the seals. 1, 2, 3. And then maybe if my rack and pinion ever goes out, I'll try popping this in. I mean, but there you go. Thank you. Alrighty, good news. I did find on Rock Auto what I needed. What threw me off is they listed as a rack input, shaft bearing, and seal. And it should say pinion input, shaft bearing, and seal. But at any rate, I looked closer and I realized that this is what I wanted. Well, just this. I'd really like to buy just this and not buy this and this because it's $30. But that's definitely what we just played with right there. I cross-referenced it. Got this guy saying he did it for a Grand Am that sprung a leak around the input shaft of the rack and pinion. So that helps me to know that it is for the input and not for where the inner tie rods go. I hope. And here's Dorman's site. 905-515. Dorman 905-515. Rock Auto does not have the hyphen, but it's pretty much about $30 everywhere you go, except for the guy's price jacking on eBay. That one's $75, but it drops down to $30. So I may go this route. Okay, we got the kit. Dorman 905-515. Mind you, this was only shown for non-variable assist steering. Most of us probably have variable from what I've gathered over the years. I don't know why that would be a different seal. Give me a little bit and I'll give you some measurements. So if you're in this situation, you can see if that seal would maybe fit. But here's the kit. Gives me a new clip, gives me a new bearing, and a new seal. Which I've already double checked it, and it's the same size. It's the same size. So, what we got going on here. And so far, so good. This may go a lot better than I thought. So what I did, okay, I took my sway bar ends on each side and I dropped them. I took the two 18mm K-frame bolts in the back corners with a jack supporting the back of the K-frame. I unbolted, well, I did that part first. Oh, be clear, phone. I unbolted the steering shaft and then I just lowered it. And I mean, let me try to get in there. That is not easy. Hey, there's a leaf in the way. Maybe if we move Freddy the leaf. There you go. Look how much fucking room I got, man. You see this top of the shaft up there? Yeah. So I should be able to get in there with my 90-degree drill. Drill that bitch out, pop that bitch in, and maybe I won't have to go through this shit again 2,500, 3,000 miles later. So stay tuned. Okay, YouTube, I got an idea. Initially, when I determined that the leak was coming from the pinion seal, what I did was I put fluid in, got a drip pan under there first. I started the car up, and I looked through here, and I saw it just pissing from that boot, okay? I'm 99% sure it's that seal. I don't know what the fuck else would leak from up there. Farted. But I'm going to start it up, and I'm going to have the camera on there, and we should see that bitch gush from the center. I just want to be better safe than sorry. So hopefully I got a pair of vice grips in here on my brake cable just right to hold the phone. Hopefully it doesn't fall. Let's see if we got any dice. Yeah, I'm going to have to put fluid. No, you can see it. Look at that. There you go. There you go, YouTube. That's how we do it on Shaun4BigBlocks. Alrighty. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking this is going to be the trickiest part of the project because there's not a whole lot of room. But I got to get that C-clamp out, or C-clip. So, fortunately, I have a 90-degree set of pliers. And I got it in the holes. I can't get much closer for you. Maybe a little bit. But, and it popped out, but you kind of get the drift. If you got straight ones and got to come from the top, it's going to be a little bit of a bitch. You'd almost have to have somebody on the bottom guiding your holes and holding it in place and somebody squeezing up top. I'm hoping I can get the leverage on this one. It would have been nice if I could have right-handed it, but I'm going to have to left-hand it. So, without it slipping out. And of course, it's all nice and lubed up. So let me go ahead and get that clamp popped out. Alrighty. I'd say I probably invested a whole 5 minutes of wasted time into that, but I got the clip off. So what I ended up having to do, I popped that little collar off that the dust boot connects to. It was kind of a pain in the ass to get off. I was initially going to do it, but then it was like it didn't want to. But I ended up just kind of getting a pry bar in there And I got everything just right, and I did one of those. It took quite a bit of pressure. It didn't break it, though. But at any rate, the snap ring pliers I was using, I couldn't get the leverage. I needed to be able to go in there with my right hand and then use a pick tool. So I use these, okay? And I got lucky. My holes were right here. So I guess if you ever install a rack and pinion, make sure this thing's adjusted about in that direction. When I get it back in, I'll try to show you more how that was. But basically, I had this in my right hand. I had to squeeze it. And then while I was squeezing it, I just took a pick tool, got that in there, and got it up. Not the hardest thing in the world, but not the easiest thing in the world either. So now we gotta drill a hole. And by the way, as I'm seeing it seeping here, I can totally see where I ruptured over here. I would have thought it would have been like where it contacted the shaft, but it's definitely over here. I'm sure we'll see better when I actually get it out, because I'll probably drill it over here. Figured I'd be a nice guy and show you my arsenal. So I started out with these guys, okay? I don't remember where I got that. It may have been Harbor Freight. It's definitely been in the last probably 4 or 5 years. Smato 5071P. So these would work, but it probably would have taken me longer, okay? I got my original set, which you see these in the auto parts all the time. And I've had this one for many, many years. You can see how yellow the outside is. This may have actually worked better, just because it was more compact, having the Torx screw on there. But this one was just so quick to pop out that I went to this one. So the one that actually did it, OEM snap ring plier set. And is OEM going to be kind enough to give us a number? Is it that? 251.2? And I got these in probably 2015 or close to it. Who the fuck is making fucking tools on Christmas, man? Who is that? Fucking China, man. Fuck you, China. Well, I guess they don't celebrate Christmas, right? But I mean, what the fuck, man? You're working like Christmas Eve. Like, oh, I made this tool on Christmas Eve. But yeah, I guess China probably... I don't see a whole lot of fucking Catholics or fucking Christians in fucking China. But at any rate, okay, so that's the ones that worked. I also have this set. I didn't open them up, but I think it's the same as the OEM, just rebranded. It would work the same. It's got all the same parts. Well, I got my snap pliers over there. I think the handle grips are a little different. But these are Ace. 202, 3976. I've had these a while too, probably closer to 10 years. Well, 2015, maybe I haven't had them that long. Probably bought these at the same time, who knows. But, now as far as the Pittsburgh, and this is what I'm guessing most people are going to have, because every time you walk into Harbor Freight, that motherfucker's staring at you when you walk down the aisle, right? I know y'all have seen this set. You probably own it. It's the Harbor Freight Special. Well, these motherfuckers are too big. They all got the fat little nubs on there. That's what she said. You would think they could give you a little nub set. But just to kind of put it into spec here, look at the size difference on that. So you got big fucking beefy snap ring with little holes. Go figure. But there you go. That's why I do this shit. That's why I fucking babble, man. So you don't go buying the wrong snap ring pliers, right? Give me a fucking bone, man. Throw me a bone here. Alrighty. we got success on drilling it. So, I initially was going to use my starette punch to make a guide hole, but then I felt like being a cowboy and I just winged it, and I got it. I basically, you know, right-handed it. Oh, we don't want to break the drill bit in there. I basically used my right hand on the drill, because I'm right-handed, with my left hand on top, kind of doing like this. And I got my hole. So, for all you people in YouTube land wanting to recreate this, let me just show you. There's no way in hell that I would have been able, it's going to be hard to give you a good angle. There's no way, you can kind of see down there. There's no way with how that angles to the firewall and how everything is that you could have used a straight drill on that. Maybe if you went in with like, I don't know, an 8-inch bit on an angle or something. I mean, I'm sure you could get crafty. But the 90 degree, that was the trick, people. Made it a lot fucking easier. So, pardon my air leak. My little blue whip's coming up probably to just shit. It's over 20 years old. I get sentimental to my shit, but I really got to replace it. It's leaking right down there in that area. But at any rate, okay, this is my first Central Pneumatics tool. I actually bought that for this project. You know, I've never had to buy a right angle drill. I've always wanted one. But on more expensive tools, because this is 40 bucks, a lot of times I don't get it till I need it. And I've gone all these years without needing it, because usually a die grinder works where you need to use this. Except for none of my die grinders fit my bigger drill bits. You know, maybe if you have a die grinder that, you know, can accept a large orifice, or has a large orifice to accept, you know, larger diameter shit. But as you can see, I got no shortage of air tools. I should have had this tool already. All my air tools are Campbell and Hausfeld. They're from the 90s. I bought them all back in the day. They're still working. So if anybody tells you, you need to buy Blue Point or Snap-on or Matco, fuck you. I've beaten the shit out of my air tools, especially my DAs and my sanders. Now, as far as Central Pneumatic, I don't know. We'll see. We'll beat it up over the years. I don't know that I'll have enough opportunities to use it. But I got a smaller hand, size 8 reading finger, and you can kind of see how big that is. But that fit perfectly. You know, I'm using jobber length bits. I want to say I used a 1/8 bit. Nope, sorry. Hold on. 3/32. I used a little 3/32 bit because I can always make it bigger. That's my philosophy, right? So Central Pneumatic from Harbor Freight. They should have these. Let me get you more of a model number if I can, in case if you got to buy online or something. Oh, there you go. Item 69495. So I'm happy with it. It did the job. Good little tool. So let me go ahead and switch over to my probably like a number 2 Phillips head bit. And we're going to get that nail in there, that screw in there. Oh, by the way, it's not chuckless. It comes with a chuck. I just figured I'd add that. I fucking hate chuckless shit. Everything seems to be going chuckless. And if you've had chuckless, you know what it's like when shit spins. Especially when it spins on your bits and then it fucking grinds off the stamped size and part numbers and all that kind of shit. But yeah, let's see if this fits. I'm a little worried just because of the length of this and the length of that screw. Now I can always use a shorter screw, and I can always put a real short bit if I have to. I think it's going to fit. But the longer the screw, the easier it's going to be for me to walk the dog to get that bitch out. Time to walk the dog. Actually, before I walk the dog, I just wanted to show you. And again, this is my factory one. I tried to get it right in the center. Hopefully I'll be so lucky on my other one, because you can kind of see. I wonder if I got to change my view. That's a little better. You can kind of see how that comes through. So you don't want to score out the fucking bore of the where the pinion housing is. You don't want to fuck up, you know, the shaft, the pinion gear. But ideally, you want to try to aim for the fucking middle. Starlight punch probably is a good idea. Hopefully I don't regret not whipping mine out. I was just too lazy to get it out. I think I'll be okay though. Okay. That setup did not give me a lot of room, especially because of this. So, rather than fuck with it, I just grabbed my old Nubski. That's an OG too. That's from the early 90s too, back when Ace still made good shit. Well, some of their shit's good. But that way I was able to take the screw and I was able to get it started, and then I was able to take my left hand and I could push down while I turned and also get my right hand in here to kind of guide too. So that was a lot easier. So now I'm going to take the old Nubski off. Definitely can't give you a part number on this, trust me. Unless if you go to an A's and they have it in the clearance bin. That's old school shit, man. They don't make them like that anymore. But you can kind of see. I might be able to do it on camera. Well, I don't really want to, because I don't want to get this bore all messed up. But you get the idea. At that point, you gotta kind of wiggle it and play with it. But I want to hyper focus on this so I'm not drilling more holes. Alrighty, I got it popped out. So, I didn't have quite as good of a grip as when I did it outside the vehicle. Naturally, you know, I had a better hole. It's getting wobbly. It's still in there. But I basically, with it in the hole, I pried this side. Then I pried to that side. Then I pried to this side. And I kept walking the dog. And then finally, that side right there popped up. So now, I can either keep walking it, or between a flathead or a pick tool. Let's see if I got enough for my flathead. There we go. Oh, yeah. That's what I like to see. I'll be so fucking happy. Watch me put the new seal in and then that bitch leaks. So there you go. That's what you're looking at. Now, mind you, the bearing's down there if you want to replace the bearing. Or you're looking at this video because you're not leaking, but it sounds like shit. And it's got like a bearing scratching noise, like a wheel bearing sound, at least from what I've heard other people report. But I don't know that you'd want to try to get that bearing out with it on the vehicle. Something tells me that'd be a little more advanced. I think you'd have to take it out at that point, and if you're doing all that, you might as well do the inner tie rod seals too. And reseal it. Okay, so let's get moved over here and see what we got now that the tool bench is getting all messy. Actually, you know what? Let me clean this up a little bit. Okay, I got everything a little bit cleaned up. So what we have here is the factory, the one that came from the Cardone refurbished unit, and the new Dorman one, okay? Kit's got a new clip and a new bearing, needle bearing style. Comes with grease if you're using the bearing. I'm not using the bearing, so I'm just going to clean it really good, lubricate it with hydraulic power steering fluid, and call it a day. As far as punching the seal on, I got a 1/2-inch socket. Oh, let me get a better angle here. I'm going to have to look outside of my... okay, it's upside down. 9/16? No. Try 1 1/16. Okay? And the fitment on that... is pretty darn close to the edge. That's the best one that I have. Okay? And basically, that's how we're going to get the seal in, and hope we got enough room to do it that way. If not, we're going to get creative and we're going to span it, because I really want to put it down with even pressure as opposed to walking the dog in. But we'll see what happens. Something interesting that I do want to point out here on these clips, okay? You know how we were talking about how the Harvard freight clips are got the little holes, or got the big holes for the tool? The replacement clip has the big holes. So I'm going to have to think about which one I want to use. I mean, realistically, or I should say ideally, you want to use the new clip because your holes may be less beat up from, using the tool on it. But that might make it a lot easier. But the bigger tool may not fit as good. So I guess I'm going to play with it. And if it looks like my tool fits okay, we're going to go ahead and use the bigger tool. And then I'll let you know which one I used. As far as seal quality goes, the stock GM one looks quite a bit different. Let me pause that and wipe it off. Okay, unpaused. Get my light angled here. This one, I don't know how to explain it. Not only is it heavier, like it's got a better metal seal in it, okay, but it's just, you could feel the quality. It just feels better. The seal itself is much more pliable, and mind you, this is almost 300,000 on this seal. That's the hole I drilled to get that one out when I did my test donkey mule over here, and it was leaking. I gotta look outside of my camera for a second. Oh, you know what? This one wasn't leaking. I'm looking for the hole and I can't find it. This one wasn't leaking until I took a pick tool and I just kind of wiggled it in there. I never even cut this, but as soon as I put my pick tool in there, it was like, a little bit squirted out. It was under pressure. Because, yeah, this one never leaked. So, it was just I sacrificed it to see what was going on. Ooh, do we have a part number? Because I was just going to say, this one's so much nicer that if time's not an issue, I would recommend trying to get this one from GM. Oh, it's got the cord retainer. I wonder if the new one has that. There we go. Let's see if I can read it to you. 250? 2504. Let me clean that. Okay, that should be a lot better. 260-48510. And that good old USA stamp. How much you want to bet that Dorman's not USA? And then CR-97. And that's it. Okay, so now see how we got... Ooh, I nicked it too. See how we got that beautiful little retaining spring to choke the neck on that chicken? Let's see if our new one's got it. And it does. So that's good. But what I could tell you is when I play with this new one... Well, no, it's still pliable. My bad. It's just different. I don't know how to explain it. It's just different. You can tell it's just not as nice. Ooh, is that the same part number? This is getting interesting. This is getting interesting. You guys probably have a better memory than me. I got to look at it again. 260, 260, 48510, 48510. CR 80? Does that say 80? CR 80. CR 97. I mean, that could be a control number or, line number in the factory, but you know what the fuck, man? I hate when they do that. You know, give it its own part number. That's not the same shit. It doesn't even feel the same. This one's heavier. This one's either got a thicker steel or a more premium steel. That's not the same fucking thing. I mean, it's going to work, but that makes you wonder then if, you know, when you get this from GM, are you getting this from GM or are they just calling the AutoZone? And except for you can't get the seal by itself. Well, stupid me never thought to look for a part number. I'm going to Google it and I'll let you know. But at any rate, the rebuilt one. Keep in mind too on this one. See how this one's all smooth? Whichever one that Cardone used. See how it's like got that Roman numeral 2 looking thing? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's all mangled, like 5 or 6 of them. So that's a little different. I actually got a pretty center drill. I just didn't have as good of an angle working on it as the one on the bench. Ooh, I'm not seeing any number on this one. Boy, wouldn't that be awesome if this new one's better quality? Because what I can tell you, and let me get these old ones out of the way here, I could totally see where it ruptured, okay? Sorry about the bad camera. That right there, that rupture line right there, actually it was smaller until I ripped it out. It started tearing more, but it was like right in the middle and it was about 1/8 of an inch wide. But when I pressured it with hydraulic fluid in there, that fucker pissed out. Like, not like a healthy, big, beefy, burly man piss stream, but like fucking, you know, like when you have a boat and you got an outboard and you got the little piss hole that pisses out water to let you know your water pump's working. And it's like that little 1/8 of an inch stream, but it's very steady and consistent. That's what this did. But yeah, I could see it when it was still in the vehicle. But I also saw when I started doing doing this to it, which is what mangled this up and put it out around, it split that a little more. So now the big question is, why did that fail? Earlier I said, oh, you know, they didn't lubricate this at the factory, which I'm going to lubricate this, but I'm not going to use the grease for the bearing. I'm going to use power steering fluid and lubricate the shaft after I clean it all. But either this had a weak spot, or when I was fucking around with the boot, my pry bar hit. But I'm going to tell you, this is pretty tough. Like that right there is like semi-reinforced. I would almost swear it has metal under it. I wonder if we can see a hole. No, I don't see anything. Let me move the camera and look at it with a fresh eye. It was leaking from that hole, though. I could see it bubbling clear as day. Because even though when I showed it to you, I didn't make it piss because I didn't want to waste fluid and have more fluid come out, you could see what fluid was left was bubbling out of that hole. You saw that in this video. But I don't know. My pry bar is pretty blunt. My pry bar probably couldn't have done that. Not to mention, I didn't use my pry bar much when everything went back in. It's taking it out that you take your pry bar and you get underneath it, except for I do it with the pry bar with the hook up, and I come like that, and then when I do this, it goes on the edge. So really, I don't think I did that. I can't rule out that I did it, but even if I did do it, how would my Nick wait 2,500, 3,000 miles to do it? Because I was putting 80 miles on that thing every day. I was delivering pizzas at night, making some extra money for Christmas. Now here I am in fucking, you know, beginning of January fixing this shit. But, oh well, enough babbling. Let's get the seal in. Alrighty, seal's in position. You can see how much room we're dealing with. Let me get my hand in there. Not much room, okay? So, pinion, it steps up. So once you hit to this point, it slides right down and then it snugs up. I got it all lubricated. Oh, and what do you know? Oh, there we go. Actually, it's not a very tight fit, probably because it's got that C-clamp. And when that pressure pushes up from the power steering fluid, it's gonna balloon it out. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna tap it. But I need to hold it straight so I can't record that part. Okay. That was kind of tricky. I got it in. That's the good news. Okay, and I didn't have to fight it. Oh, now it's gonna want to be blurry, right? Let's try that exposure. The only thing I noticed is it seems to have gone a little bit deeper than where it was when I took it out. So I'm hoping when it pressures up that it just moves up into place. But it also steps up a little bit right down there. So I'm hoping that that's not an issue. We're going to know when I start it up because I'm going to put fluid in it and start it up with it like this before I put it back. So I was not expecting that. I really expected that seal to ground out on the bearing. But we're going to go ahead and get the C-clip in there and we're going to see. Oh, I guess it would help. I had to tap it around with this. I'm basically using a 1/4 inch ratchet with a 1/4 inch deep socket. And what did I pick? It wasn't the smallest. It was like the second small. 7/32. I was able to put that in there. And then I was able to take my little tap hammer. My little mallet didn't fit. And with it sideways, I worked it around like that. Left hand holding the ratchet. Little more tedious than I thought, but it went well and it's seated flush. I just hope it's not too deep. I don't want it to come up and then have it be where it stretches out that center lip. So I guess the longer I talk about it, the longer it's stretching it out, if it's stretching it out. So I better get that clip on. Already I got it in. So even though the holes were bigger on the new one, the Harbor Freight was still too big. So I used the same ones I took it out with. Goes in a hell of a lot easier than coming out. What I will say is to get it to seat, there's a little ridge in there that it seats in. So even though my seal is probably, I'd estimate, about a 1/16 of an inch lower than making contact, it actually worked out pretty good because I used my pick tool to I had to work around the clip to make it all expand and clip into place. So we're in good shape, man, as long as it doesn't leak. If we'll see. We shall see. Let's get some fluid in it. Okay, well, bad news, YouTube. I am not having success. As you can see, I still leak. So here's what happened, okay? I couldn't start it up and have the camera on it because when I started it up, I jacked the cradle up just to make sure all the geometry was good, just to be safe. But I could get in there and see it, okay? I started it up. It made the power steering grinding noise for about 3 seconds, and then it went away. And it was running beautifully. Okay? And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at it. And literally, first off, as soon as I got there, this had already popped up into place. Everything looked fine. After about 30, 40 seconds of running, this right here, let me try to get in there better. This started bubbling up. So that's the same spot where it split last time, but it actually started bubbling up. Kind of like a pink sock, if you know what a pink sock is, only on this side. And then the fluid started coming out. After it bubbled up enough, the fluid came out right there. So I don't think that it was because I set this too low. It could have been. Maybe it just hit a funny angle. But I'll tell you what, it would have been really, really hard to not set it low. And I really think it was made that way to make it easier to get this clip in. So your mileage may vary. You know what I went through. I have a feeling, since this is a rebuilt unit and it was fine for a while, something else is blowing pressure up on this side. I don't know. So tread lightly if you do this. I would say if you got an old one and it just has a little bit of a leak, you're probably okay. If you're pissing out of here, yeah, I don't know. I really can't tell you what the issue is. All I can tell you is look at that pink sock. You can see that gap right there. But yeah, it was fine for about 30, 40 seconds. And then the pressure just built up and it just... failure. And that was so easy too. Relatively speaking, that was so easy. It probably took more time doing camera shit than doing it, you know? Now I gotta rip the fucking rack and pinion out. Send it back to Rock Auto. And that's why I'm not going to get shit like this that's tedious. I'm not getting it at Rock Auto. I'll spend the extra money, go to my local provider, AutoZone, O'Reilly's, whatever I decide to go to. And then I have a local warranty. It's a lifetime. Whereas Rock Autos, you get one shot. If I get a new one and it doesn't work right, I'm in trouble. So hopefully this helped you. At least this shows you how to do the seal. And if you see what I did wrong, you can take corrective measures. But I don't know what to tell you, man. You know, that bottomed out to the bearing, and then the pressure definitely lifted it up. And I had 40 seconds of, you know, thinking I was hot shit. And then I wasn't.